hear me in here? Is it good on there? Okay. All right. Okay, let me just pop this thing in my pocket. That might be good, Janet. Yeah. Okay. Well, good morning. We're glad that you're here, the folks that are here. If you're in the Houston area or the Houston metropolitan area, you know about our weather, and we were wondering if anyone was going to brave the weather. We had a folk out west and south. We didn't think anybody from up north would be coming, even if they had planned on it, just because of the weather we're having, the rain, the flooding, and I guess there's still weather patterns coming through, right? Still more weather coming through. So yeah, and a number of school districts closed. So anyway, we're glad you're here, and we're going to talk about Choice Partners, how we can help you in your procurement process, how we can help you select vendors. I can use the website, a little bit about legal, a little bit about the different divisions we have, and really kind of who Choice Partners is. A lot of people don't know who we are, how we're designed or structured. I'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll have other folks come up and talk about other things. I will silence my phone. We don't want that ringing. You don't have to silence them online, okay? Anyway, internal, we will ask them to be silent. I know, bad joke, but that's all right. Anyway, my name is Jeff Drury. I'm the senior director here. I've been here 9 years with Choice Partners. Been on the other side of the world in electrical and lighting business and sales and other things in the past. So we're glad you're here, and I'm going to go ahead and get to it. I'm going to talk for a few minutes and then turn it over. Let me grab my clicker and turn it over to other folks here in just a minute. And I guess if you have questions, please hit the chat or whatever. We have it being monitored here. We don't need to wait until the end. If you have questions, just chime in and we'll address whatever. And want to make it as interactive as possible. We're not doing this to listen to ourselves talk. We're doing this to try and help educate you guys on what Choice Partners is, who we are, what a cooperative is, and how we can help you with your business. All right, this is a little bit, and you do have these, oh, you've already found them, okay. You do have these, folks here live do have it and have a hard copy. So anyway, the agenda is this. I'll talk a little bit about welcome and intro, talk a little bit about who we are, Choice Partners, how we're structured, how we tie into HCDE. You'll learn what HCDE is if you're not already familiar with it. A little bit about our Choice Cash program, and then we'll move on to talking a little bit about legal. You know, why do you even use a co-op? Why do we exist? And talk a little bit about that. Some of our contracts, food, cafeteria. We'll mention our annual nutrition product show, October, I think, later this year. Yeah, I was trying to get the food and nutrition person to, but anyway, a little bit about navigating the website. That's always very helpful. Let you learn how to find things that you might want, due diligence, pricing, things like that. Then we'll break for lunch, and then we'll do Jock if you get involved in any of the maintenance, operations, construction, things like that, facilities type stuff. And we'll get you out of here on time. So this is our Choice Partners team. There's 19 full-time employees, and we need to, and we will upgrade this with other folks that work a lot with us, including our marketing and client engagement folks, our field reps. We need to add some of those folks, but these are all the Choice Partners folks right here in our second floor of the building, that office right here, and write contracts, do all the billing, management, all that admin, things like that. The whole group is, that's our team right there. About maybe a third of us are in here. And win. This is something that kind of describes, you guys, I can ask the question here locally, but feel free to give chats or any comments or anything in the chat to Michael. But you guys know what a co-op is? Do you use a co-op? You familiar with co-ops? kind of, sort of, not? Okay, all right. Okay, well, that's fine. I just, sometimes I want to know what people are, or what their level is, and how much they know who we are, or what a co-op is in general. So we'll kind of start at the beginning. Choice Partners is the co-op, but we're also what's called a lead agency. For a contract to be written and to be shared, you've got to have a lead agency, a governmental entity, and Choice Partners is a division within HCDE, Harris County Department of Education. And so we actually write the contracts, we use contracts, unlike a lot of co-ops out there that may be not-for-profit or have lead agencies in 12 different parts of the country and be very, very much at arm's length. We know, we write, we're involved in 100% of the contracts that go out through Choice Partners here in the building. 100% of them are from here. And so we write a contract. It's an RFP or a CSP, exactly like a school district, a city, a county, a junior college, university. We write exactly, that's exactly what we do. We write that, but we also have stipulations. It's a little different than the standard RFP in the fact that we make it, it's kind of a shared contract, and it's able to be piggybacked on by other governmental entities, such as a lot of you guys that are online, folks that are in here, via what's called an interlocal agreement. The ILA is something that's signed. We issued the paperwork. In the state of Texas. It's required for a governmental entity to execute an ILA. Outside of the state of Texas, I didn't really look at the list. If a lot of the folks are outside of the state or whatever, outside of the state of Texas, it may or may not be required, and we leave that up to you. We leave that up to the governmental entity to decide, or basically tell us, because really the onus is on you, the responsibility as to whether you want to use an interlocal agreement or not. Some people just, there's a box on our website, you can just check, I'm an out-of-state entity, I do not require an interlocal agreement, yet I want to be part of Choice Partners. So they do that instead. In the state of Texas, it's a requirement. Okay. So you sign the interlocal agreement, and the member, you'll hear us say the word member, and the word member is our vendor's customer, the guys that get the awarded contract. You're their customer, or you're also part of, you've signed an interlocal agreement or somehow became part of the Choice Partners network of members. And that's, we'll use the word member a lot. And that's basically saying you are this person, you're the person purchasing goods or services from our awarded vendor via the Choice Partners contract. This side of the triangle is we solicit the contract, go through the evaluation process, basically per state guidelines and governmental guidelines as far as scoring criteria to award the contract. And we don't award everybody, and 100% of our vendors have gone through this process, and they become an awarded vendor if they score high enough and are evaluated and deemed ready to use our contract. So the awarded contract is kind of the tool that the vendor uses to sell to you. You say, oh, I want to buy, pick it, office supplies, furniture, chicken nuggets for the school child nutrition, whatever. And you say, oh, I got to get 3 quotes, or I got to go out and I got to create a bid or whatever, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it takes. We have contracts basically for a lot of the stuff you're asking for. And you can basically take our contract. Sometimes you may still need 3 quotes, but you can use 3 quotes of 3 vendors of ours. You can take our vendor, other co-ops, whatever, and go that route and get a quote and buy something today, tomorrow, whenever you need it. So it helps the process move along quickly. Basically the PO, or the job order, contracted services agreement, mainly for commodities, food, things like that, everything that's not construction. Stephen will elaborate a little more on the construction side, is executed by and between the awarded vendor, the person that you guys will buy from, and you, basically the Choice Partners member. So anyway, that's a little bit about what we call it win-win-win. It's a win for you guys. You get something at a competitive price, you get it quicker, and you get it competitively and legally procured. So it meets all of your standards, all of your requirements for the method of procurement, buying the goods or services. We win because we get a contractor, a vendor using the contracts. We charge an admin fee. Nothing ever comes out of your pocket. It's always comes out of the vendor. And the vendor wins because they can use this piece of paper and they can go to HISD, KDISD, City of Houston, Texas State University, University of North Texas, UT system, whatever. They can go and use this awarded contract and solicit or work with a number of different entities without having to respond to multiple RFPs all day long. Really, that's kind of the beauty of the cooperative contract. All right, what did I do now? Did it go to sleep?
No, I think it was a whole survey popped up.
Okay. All right. I didn't know there was something else there. Okay. So I've said HCDE a couple of different times. What is HCDE? And I know I saw a few of the names on the participants online, and you guys know us and know us well and use a lot of the other HCDE services also. But for folks that don't know, and there'll be a little graphic on the next slide about kind of how we fit in, but HCDE is Harris County Department of Education. There are 254 counties in the state of Texas. At one time, when HCDE was founded in 1889, there were 254 county departments of education, one for each county in the state. Nowadays, there's about 1,200 school districts. They have morphed from the county departments of education into the school districts, probably starting in the early 1900s. And out of the 254 original county departments of education, there's one left, and it's us, the largest county in the state. We do a lot of things that if you're in K-12, kind of what ESCs do, similar, there is some overlap, but we do a number of other things outside of that also. HCDE is not a county agency, it's a county school district, and we're the only county school district existing in the state of Texas. Like I said, they've been around since 1889. They're also a taxing authority. So it's kind of almost like the city of or the county of as far as the taxing side. But we're just kind of unique in who we are and how we're structured. This is a little kind of a graphic of HCDE, and we call these the pillars, kind of the larger divisions within HCDE as far as adult ed, doing a lot of adult education, certification, vocational training, welding, things like that, pipe fitting to help people get jobs and assimilate back into the world, to the environment. Case for Kids, a lot of after school programs, including a neat robotics competition that a lot of schools in and around the Houston and metro area may be in. Head Start, pre-Head Start, number of special schools for troubled youths that may have behavioral issues and or may have dependency issues. Number of schools like that, therapy services within the county, probably 55 to 60% of the therapists operating in school districts are employees of HCDE, this other division that we have, therapy services. Then you can see Choice Partners. We're one of these, we're this little bitty circle down on the bottom, and that's who we are. You saw our team a minute ago. That's what we do, and we basically go out and work as any other co-op out there. We cover our cost, and then we give money back to HCDE to help work with and fund. I don't know exactly where all of it goes, but at their discretion to help offset some of the cost and things like that on some of these other programs furnished by HCDE. Choice Cash Rebate. Anybody ever heard of the rebate or know that we have it or that it came out? I know you do, because I know you guys are big. But anyway, we have just finished our first year with the rebate program, we're probably close, probably when it's all said and done, a little under $1 million that we've rebated, and it's been a great success. It's been a lot of work, a lot of reconciliation. That's a good word, right, Jane? We love that word, reconciliation. Yeah, but there's been a lot of work, a lot of learning with our billing and the admin and kind of the financial and operation side of our team. But we feel that it's getting bigger and better all the time. We've already seen it in the second year. People are asking about rebates. It's become a regular question. We don't give a rebate because we're a not-for-profit, which you'll hear about rebates, and people that are not-for-profits typically give it because if you're set up that way, you're out of the 501c3 of those type of corporations, you're mandated to give it back or you cease to exist. We are a governmental entity. There's no mandate for us to rebate money back. We do it. It's kind of a thank you, and we've found it to be very beneficial, and a lot of our customers like it. They've kind of said, "Oh, that's great. Well, you're a governmental entity. You write great contracts. You're extremely compliant, and you have a rebate." What is that? That's 4 wins. Win, 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 right? We need to draw a square instead of that triangle, Anyway, so that's, we feel that it's been a very good program. Just some stats. First full year rebates typically generated 4 to 6 weeks, more than 20,000 POs that are entered into the portal for that. Well over 400 members receiving the rebate, and it's well in progress for this year, 23-24. And the rebate is based on our fiscal year. Starts 9/1 and ends 8/31. I know some districts might end June 30th, and districts operate at different times, but our CFO said, no, if we're going to do it, it's going to be following our fiscal year. So that's what we do. How does it work? I don't want to read all this to you, but basically the first bullet's telling you that you're going to enter your information, your ordering information, PO information into our portal. The second bullet saying, instead of waiting until the end of the year and trying to gather 12 months worth of data and have stuff fall through the cracks or whatever, and not remember what happened 7 or 8 months ago, we recommend doing it on a much more regular basis. Every hour, right, Jane? Every day no. But the monthly is something that a lot of people use. That monthly reporting. Monthly is a nice period to kind of review and put some of those things in. The third question is there a maximum? There is no maximum. We typically want to write a check for $100 or more. So if the rebate is going to be under $100, probably may not happen in either case of the folks in here. If you're online, we probably aren't going to do that. So that equates to probably 40,000 in activity, something along those lines. Full list of rebate updates. That is available on is that in the FAQs? Okay. Okay, FAQ online, and it has a full list of a number of updates. As I said, it's a continual learning thing for us. We're just in the second year of it, and full list of various, I think we're ready, full list of the various update information. And these are the stars of the program here. These are our contract managers. They're the ones that are typically closest to all the vendors. They talk to a lot of members on a regular basis. And they all have kind of a specialty or an area that they work in. And I guess I can read it, but anyway, I think they're all in this room. So we've got Michael doing the JOC, Ashley on the food side, Monique does a lot of technology, commodities type items. Steve does commodities and some products and some other services. A lot of placement, a lot of things like that, personnel placement. And then Tammy does the trade JOCs instead of, we call something a full JOC if they're a general contractor and they're going to manage multiple trades. They may self-perform 1 or 2 trades. out of the group, but they're going to manage multiple trades. And the trade jock is something like a roofing contractor, HVAC contractor, electrical contractor. They're more specialized. And when projects are predominantly going to consist in one trade. Okay, legal, I'm out of here. So we're going to bring in Steve Gibson, one of our contract managers, who talks about legal. You want me to turn this off before I transfer? So we don't get, it'll be off for just a second, so you don't get a lot of this muffled stuff.
All right, can everybody hear me? And my father always said, invest in good speakers. Sound advice. Seriously, I joke, the flooding sounds like it is going to be real bad. You know, say some prayers to all those in the area. Last I heard it was, you know, it's 48 feet above sea level, rising to 75 feet above sea level this weekend. So yeah, say prayers, and everybody up there listening, stay safe, you know, take your precautions. God bless you. Godspeed. So I'm here to talk about kind of the legal and the contracts. And feel free to interrupt me at any time. I can take questions into the chat as we go along. We have a couple laws that are immediately applicable to probably 90% of our audience. 791 authorizes cooperative. On the federal side, 200-318 is the section of the Uniform Guidance, which authorizes cooperatives. And we do these, and we're compliant by two main methods of procurement. The first is request for proposals, and that is just a very, very basic. We go out, we request for proposals, we accept them, and we award contracts. The second one is a process for construction contracts, which is defined in Chapter 2269 of Texas Code. That is competitive sealed proposals. It's very, very similar, but it does have processes or sub-processes in there that are defined by that code that you have to follow. So these are the two methods of purchase that we use. Our steps are very close for both of them, but as these are federally compliant contracts, we'll do an independent estimate beforehand prior to advertising. We will advertise. We advertise both locally and nationally. We define our evaluation criteria in the RFP, so anybody who is trying to become an awarded vendor can see what they have to meet and how they will be scored by the evaluators. We have a public opening of sealed proposals. Not mentioned in here is that we also have a pre-proposal meeting. But we will have a public opening of sealed proposals. We'll have a competitive evaluation. Once we are recommending contracts, we will perform a cost analysis. We will make a recommendation of award, and contracts will be awarded at the board meeting that follows that, or the next one that we can get onto the agenda. So our legal requirements, we do have a bunch of them. There are a lot of laws which govern purchasing, and depending on your agency or depending on your geographic location, they may vary. If you're outside of Texas, different ones will apply. This is kind of a summary of what we are working under in the state of Texas, and also for federal contracts. You may have federal funding. You may not. And your policies and rules will differ on that, as well as the dollar threshold. Those will all be defined in your policies of your agency. So these are just a summary, and I'm not going to speak to a lot of them because I don't think that we will need to. But if you are in the purchasing department, you're already quite well aware of it. Due diligence. Due diligence, when you hear the word due diligence, just think of the procurement file. This is what we put together. This makes it all possible. This is basically the backup to every purchase or every contract that we award, so that when you go to use that contract, you have everything that an auditor might want to see. Now, you'll need to look at the due diligence and make sure on your checklist that that's a match, because in some cases you might need to supplement it. We will put everything in the due diligence that we can do. If there are items that are scope specific or specific to your particular scope of work, obviously we can't put that in your due diligence. So if there are cases you're using, say, federal money, you might need to do your own independent evaluation before you use the contract. You might also need to get 3 quotes if it's a federal one. But we will do everything that we can, including the 6 affirmative steps that are described in uniform guidance and many other steps to make it compliant to state and federal law. When you're logged in, and Janet will speak more to this, but this is a logged in view of one of our contracts. This is a staffing vendor, Robert Half. You will see it has all, it has the award date of award, and it has the renewal history. And it'll tell you also, how many options are remaining. We'll have a link to the website. You'll see the market area. And you can find this page for any of our vendors. A little bit further down, you'll see the approved product or service on there. You'll want to check that against what you are buying, because not all vendors are selling everything via the Choice Partners contracts. So you need to make sure that is the same. To place an order, in most cases, you're going to contact the vendor directly for all your needs and tell them you would like a quote using the Choice Partners contract. Please quote me per Choice Partners contract number 21/063SG-06. You will notice the contract number here. This is the RFP number 21/063. The 06 just means that this is in alphabetical order, the 6th vendor who was awarded pursuant to that RFP. So those 2 parts become the full contract number. A little bit further down, you will also see the due diligence button. There's the download right there. You do have to be logged in. Now, if you are interested, if you are maybe watching and you don't have a login, or you've never logged into the Choice Partners website before, we have many members who visit the website, but they're not logged in. Okay, so if you visit the website and you're not logged in, you may not see things like contact information. You may not see, you won't see the due diligence if you're not logged in. We can provide you some resources. Anyone in your agency that has a matching email can log in. And if you need that, send any one of us an email or reach out to us by phone, and we will help you get logged in. What is in the due diligence file? So in independent estimate determination, newspaper advertisements, the RFP document, the RFP addenda, proposal evaluation summary, participation listing, the cost price analysis, 1295 form. That's a form specific to Texas. If you're visiting out of state and you don't know what that is, it probably is not going to apply to your laws, but it is important here in Texas. SAM.gov reports, also known as debarment reports. You'll have the contract award letter, the contract assignment. Let's say if that vendor at some point in the contract term becomes acquired by another vendor and they want to continue that, well, we have to assign that contract to them. And you internally may have to do that as well. Oftentimes when that happens, a tax ID number changes. So there are steps you will have to do on your side as well when that happens. And current and past and renewal letters. So we will have all of that in your due diligence file. Okay, I've got a couple quick questions. Feel free to shout them out or, you know, shoot us a text in there. I don't expect a tremendous amount of participation, and Choice Partners folks, y'all just stay quiet. I know you know this. It's not the first time you've watched me present. What is the legal basis for using a cooperative? Anybody going once, going twice, don't be shy. Woo! Government Code 791. You got it. All right. There we go. And also I'm going to put in there as well. It's not always easy to remember, a little bit harder to remember, but 2 CFR 200-318 on the federal side. And the next question, what are the 2 procurement methods used by Choice Partners? RFP and CSP. Thank you so much. You got it. You got 100%. Do we have any gifts? Speakers. Your gift is that I'm going to stop speaking in about 2 minutes. All right. Questions on compliance or review of a quotation. Choice Partners will review. We will be glad to review if a vendor quotes, you have a question, you know, does this, you know, is this compliant to their contract? We can do that review. You may either, you know, email one of our contract managers, preferably the one that's listed on their landing page, or you can send it to Mary. Mary's our contract compliance specialist. I don't think she's here in the room, but we can all make a review of the quote for compliance. If we need to advise the vendor that they need to change something, we can do that. Usually we will just send an email to you and say, the vendor will need to do X. In some cases, we might also reach out to the vendor and tell them the same. Okay, our contracts, as you know, we have several groups. I'm going to start over here. So facilities would include services to facilities as well as construction services to facilities. We have services that are kind of anyone else in an agency might use. Staffing, for example, could be waste management. That'd be more on the facility side. Maybe it's rental services. We have commodities. Commodities, we throw a lot into what we call commodities, even if they're not technically commodities. So anything you might buy or use. Technology, computers or software. When we also have a dedicated group for food and cafeteria supplies. And they follow a little bit more of a stringent procurement process than we do because they are under the, I guess, the purview of the USDA and the Texas Department of Agriculture as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our food and nutrition team. And here to present on that are Ashley and Monica.
Good morning. How are y'all today? How are you guys online? Thanks for being here. We're excited to talk about or teach you guys about Choice Partners. We are from the food and nutrition side of Choice Partners. Trisha couldn't be here this morning. She's actually on her way right now. She has a doctor's appointment, so I get to present for her. She is the assistant director here, and then this is the whole staff that we have on the food side. Monica is your contract coordinator, and I'm your contract manager. We don't only have, I know we say we're from the food side, but we don't only have food contracts. We have everything related to the cafeteria. So all of those that are listed here. We just came out with a small wares bid that we're excited about. It's completely TDA official. So a line item bid. So that's out available now. That was approved by the board last month or this last month, April. And then we also have out on the streets right now, which we're excited about, a footwear, uniform, apparel, contract that we have out right now. So anything you need for that. So that's out on the streets right now. We're excited about that contract coming soon. This is the food member login page. So if you just want to see the food contracts, you click on the food area only when you're logging into your member page, and you'll see just our contracts that we have on our side. This is the food member dashboard. This is what you see when you log in. So any of the information that you're going to need for if you're getting audited, it's under the procurement annual review. Any of the documents that you need for audits, you can find there. Pricing's on there, our commodity processing, our vendors, any information that you need is going to be under all of those tabs. If you ever have any questions, we're available. That's what we're here for. Our upcoming events, which we're really excited about, our annual food show that we have is October 10th at the Humboldt Civic Center. It's a really good time. We'd love to have you guys come out. We usually have about 600 total people, attendees, and vendors that come out. And our theme for this year is circus/carnival. I think we're still deciding what we're going to do, but I'm excited to see y'all out there, and we hope that you can come.
Okay, if y'all can hear me now and give us just a minute. I am Janet Walks. I work as an assistant director in client engagement and marketing division. So we want to take the time to get away from the PowerPoint and go directly to the website so that you can actually see what is in your handouts. You'll have it to follow along, but it works really well. So I can sit here and drive and guide you. So I've got a heck fire. Can I put this here? Can y'all still hear me? Can they hear me online? Michael?
Probably not very good.
Oh, so I have to do this gizmo?
That would have been better.
I'm sorry. I couldn't drive and do that too. Yeah, if I do that, I forgot I was going to get to sit down. Okay, so since most of you answered the survey and said you're aware of what a co-op is, do y'all need to adjust that camera? Can they see me, or is it okay? I really want them to just see the screen. Perfect. That's wonderful. So to be able to utilize your membership to the maximum, the best thing is to have a member login. And so we want to start with that. It's not outlined. Oh, it works. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so everybody, if you have it in front of you, your own mobile device, or if you're in front of your computer, let's walk along together, knowing that you will have access to the PowerPoint. This is just going to make it more visual to you and where we're going. So you go under the member login, and when you tap on that, you can see, Stephen, I don't know, will it mess things up? I think I can use you. That'll be okay. Come down here, right here where it says set up a new account. If you do not have a login, it's imperative that when you go to set up a new account and you go to the entity name, that you don't just type out your whole name. You have to type out just what starts it, and then you pick your name from here. Like I have to choose Harris County Department of Ed. If I were to type that whole thing out and hit enter, the system will go, no, thank you. It wants to ensure that you've been approved for membership. That's why we're doing this. And then from there, you'll submit the rest of your information. So you can see, you come down here, you put in all your information and choose your own username and password. Then when you hit submit, it goes to our system, and you'll get an email that says, thanks for registering. But then you have to wait for the second email that says, you've been approved. Your username and password have been approved. We want to make sure there aren't two using the same thing. So once you get that, you can come back to this same page, log in, and with what you chose. And this is what we want you to see is your dashboard. This is the best place for you to go to get the most out of your member benefits. There's so much more when we'll take a quick overrun in that, but we want to put you here. And the first thing I show is on the contract list. We don't email this out, but it's available to you at any time in a PDF format. And when you open that up, you'll see that at the top, we have our month that it's been last updated. And you'll see we use the term awarded contracts because they are not approved. They are awarded. They go through a vetting process. So Steve spoke about the multiple silos that we have, types of contracts. So we have them in the maroon right here. These are the subcategories under each one of those types, whether it's technology, food, curriculum, facilities. I will show you this. If you are interested in the food, scroll down to the last page and we have put all of the food contracts here, and you can see we even listed that way. So we've taken that silo out just so you can go for quick reference. Do note that if you need to shop for a minority or women-owned business, we have those indicated as you show here with an asterisk besides the name of them, okay? And if any questions, please always feel free to use our either local number or our 877 number, and somebody can help guide you. Now, I know for some areas, some entities, I'll say, when you have the need to use one of our vendors, it has to be on your own approved list. It can't just say, oh, it's under the co-op list. We need it integrated into our own procurement system. For that reason, we've offered this down here where you can download an Excel sheet, and that way you can manipulate the data the way you need to integrate it into your own procurement system, and then you can send it out to the different divisions that are within your organization, and they can hunt for vendors, and that way they'll know in purchasing they're approved, but they'll know that they're approved via your own district. Okay, so that's always available to you at any time. And as I said, we have 11 board meetings a month, so this is updated every time we have a board meeting. Okay. Ooh, hello. So we're going to go back to the dashboard so you know how that top button worked there. And I want to run over here, and this current vendors is going to be listed exactly like the first list you just saw, only this is what I call their e-file. It takes you to the landing page for each of our vendors. So a great way to manipulate this. Oh, why do you lose the scrolly bar here? I can't get it to scroll up. Anyway, you can come over here. If you want to see alphabetically, like you know exactly who your vendor is, if you double tap on that, you can see it goes in alpha order. Double tap again, it'll do reverse order. And that is the same for all across here. So if you were looking for some vendor that was only in the state of Texas and you did locations, then you could see that, and it, oops, not getting that right here. But at least you can see here where we have the national awards are just state only. Some of them have a region in Texas that theirs, and that would be a TEA region, like for schools, not for counties and that sort of thing. Oh, can't do this. Scroll down. So I'm going to let me type in here. You can search if you already know the name of a vendor that you want to use. So I'm going to use Blick Art Materials, and you can see that they have had 2 different awarded contracts. It's for 2 different areas. So depending on which one you want, you can click on the name of the vendor, and you can see that it takes you to what we call their landing page. So this is what I call a mini website that we support for each one of our vendors within our own website. And Steve had shown you that we have all the information on the left relative to the contract, the award, and when it was dated. But we also include here the contract manager in Choice Partners that you can reach out to for assistance before, during, or after you've already initiated working with this vendor. They can answer some questions for you, help you determine if this is the proper contract or does it even fit your needs should you try to get another one. And we do mark national here. That means that anybody in CP can use them, which is good because it's not just relative to the state of Texas. You have their website, but over here, Steve even mentioned that if you don't have a login, you're not going to be able to see this contact information. We do some protection of our own vendors, just like we do you members. We make ourselves legal and compliant, so you are audit proof. But for our vendors, we want to be sure that there's no spams or hackers. So we just keep this information here from them. So you can reach out directly to them. Choice wants you to have a one-on-one relationship with our vendors. We don't get in between unless there's a misunderstanding technology or contract wise, and then we'll assist as needed. But this is great for you to start your dialogue right away. Again, if you have just registered to be a member, but you have not submitted an interlocal agreement and one is needed for your organization, please don't let any funds exchange hands between you and the vendor until you have submitted that agreement, okay? Because if you don't, it'll make your purchase out of compliance, and then that makes it a little sticky when you get audited. But we're here and ready to do it as soon as you sign it and send it in. We're good. Or if you mark out of state when you register, you're good. And this is where you can come in and see all about that vendor. And this is where he was saying, this is the due diligence file. It's available to you behind that login, but right away, if you need to prepare your purchase order request and you click on this, it comes up with, like he said, it's a zip file, and we're having slow response with internet right here, but he listed everything that's in there. So we have the ad, we have the bid tab, the evaluation form, and SAM's report, and various other things that are right there for you. Okay. So we find that quite helpful. And you can see as it goes down, each one of them puts in as much as they need, but always feel free to reach out to the contract manager as needed. So we'll go back to the dashboard. And I'd love to show you the get a quote. This, Jeff used to call this the fun button, because what it does is it eliminates a lot of work off of your own department and takes paperwork off your desk. You don't have to write an article and then submit it for RFP in the newspaper or magazine. You can just come right here and shop. But I do want to clarify, using Get a Quote on our website will only allow you to shop for vendors that are awarded by Choice Partners. I did have the question from some members at another time, well, I want to get this one and that one. I go, well, if you're going to go through our co-op, it's only going to be our vendors. But we have a wide selection, and so it should help. Again, this is laid out very much like, well, not very much, it's exactly like the awarded contract list that I first showed you. All those subcategories are what you're going to see here. So I can scroll down and you can see all these categories right here are what are going to be listed on that list. So let's say if you wanted to do food, and you can come down here and you can see food equipment, food parts, repair, installation. But you also look over here, here's frozen desserts, pick the one that best suits you. So what if we needed to replace a refrigerator? Well, we could do this as food equipment. Might be in a break room, might be at a school district, you don't know. But what the system does is intuitively distill out only those vendors that are awarded under that particular category. So you can see here, there's so many to choose from. And that's why we're saying shopping here isn't like you're limited. Now, we do have a button right up here that says select all, if you so choose. That's quite a lot. But we can unselect and then just choose the 3 or 4 that you want. Come down here under product service and then just put as a member of Choice Partners Co-op, please provide a quote for, and then outline what you want. It could be a 32 cubic inch side-by-side refrigerator, whatever. We'll just say that for now. But some of the things that you want to put in there are things that the more specific you are, the better quote you're going to get from a vendor. Because if you just say, I want a refrigerator, and all they have are stainless steel, and you really wanted white or black enamel to match something that was already there, they don't know that. And then that causes confusion in later on. So be as specific as you can there. I will say that if you have been shopping for this refrigerator for a while, you might already have a custodial staff or engineer that said, hey, I've got the specs of exactly what we need. You can run down here to this bottom where it says attach a file. And up here, you would just say, as a Choice Partner member, please prepare a quote per attached specs. You don't have to retype everything, just upload it there. Or if you are hunting for maybe furniture replacement and you want something that matches what already exists, but you don't describe it the way others will see it. Is it colonial? Is it French provincial? Is it pine? Is it mahogany? Upload a picture here, describe it how you think it is, but you can upload a picture here and that'll help your estimator get you a better quote back. So just come in and complete after you've done your description, fill out all this information here. But when you come to this bottom area where it says product or service need by, that is not when you want the quote back. Our vendors know that they are in their contract. It tells them to respond in 48 hours or less. Okay. Even if they come back and say, I have to get back to you or I need more information, they're still responding. But this tells them when you want that service or product in-house. So if they have the refrigerator that you want, but it's on a shipping container and hasn't gone through customs yet or that sort of thing, it could be delayed. They could start a dialogue with you and said, I can meet everything that you want except your shipping date. Is there any flexibility? But at least you've started that procurement dialogue and you're moving forward. So when you hit the submit button, what happens is that 3 people get a copy of the quote request. You do, so you can track it. Each vendor that you selected gets a copy, but they don't know if you selected others. They just know that you selected them. Then we get a copy. And that way, if you have picked 3 or 4 vendors and only 2 replied, come to us and say, I submitted this quote request. I need a response from these 2 others and haven't heard. Well, it could just be a matter of their emails have changed or something didn't get through. We want to facilitate that for you. But you go ahead and do that. They get it, get back to you, and the system is rolling so much faster. You don't wait for an RFP, and the shopping is done with an already approved vendor in your system. It's a great way to save time. Now, I don't know of any, I can't see online what your history is or who you're with or the people that are here. If there's anybody that needs to call a pre-quote meeting, not another bid, because our vendors have already responded to a bid and were awarded. But if you had like a construction job that needed to be done, maybe a replacement of a roof or something, you can use this same get a quote without having to go out and advertise again or put it out there. So we could go back up here. Let's see, we'll undo some things and we'll just start at the beginning, and I'll hit R for roofing. I could have typed roofing up here, but I'm going to come over here and say, look, I want to call a pre-quote meeting. So I'm doing roofing. I'm going to come down here and you can see how many we have here, just a lot. And that's because Texas is big and the nation is big. So we want to have a variety that can cover all areas. So I wouldn't necessarily select all, but you could. So select who you want. And then here you put in 3 things. You say, as a choice partner member, and I just do that just to clarify. You say, we are holding a pre-quote meeting for repair of a roof. So you do 3 things. 1, please respond to this request with a yes, no, or I'll be there, because then you're showing that you've gone out and gotten your advertisements. Number 2, you have to tell them that the scope of work will be handed out at the meeting. Otherwise, if you don't, everybody will respond, tell me this now. Have you thought about that? Let me give you what I've got going. Your budget might say this and they might want to spend that, let's line everything up in advance. And then the third thing is you have to tell them when the quote has to come in, because unlike the original quote request, which is just ABC, give me an answer. This is something where it's in the future. They have to come to your site, review the site, then come back and give you an estimate. It's going to take a little time. So the third thing would be all quotes are expected back, and then you give them a date. So with those 3 things, you can really move forward quickly with a pre-quote meeting on any kind of construction. And you can use this button down here to attach files that either show the actual site itself, or if you want to upload specs of what the current roof was, but what you're expecting to be in replacement. And then over here, you're telling them when you have to have it finished. So that's going to get you a much better response to those meetings and move you forward on your project. Any questions on that? Any questions online, Michael? Okay, okay. So we're gonna go back to the dashboard. And then we're gonna come down here to what Jeff spoke to a little bit, and that was about our rebate portal. So here is where you as a member can actually get your second good, how would you say, ROI on your membership in our co-op. So the first one is when you use any of our contracts, you're going to get great pricing and service. But we decided to add another benefit for our members. It's at no cost to our vendors. And what we're doing is giving you a rebate of a percentage of what you spend using our contracts. But we have to rely on you to report each one of those completed POs to our vendors. So what you upload here, whether you do it in bulk, which you could wait and do it like once a month, or you could do it individually, and we have both of those down here options. It needs to be paid. Don't submit the PO and it hasn't been paid. But if you feel you've got to do that, just give us a call and we can help with that. But mostly we want them already paid. And here we actually have where you can download a template. Let's see. I'm doing Stephen, not me. I had already downloaded it. And we'll look at it right here. It's very easy. It's not like you're going to have to glean a whole lot of information. It's just like 5 different things. We need the vendor's invoice, your name, contract number, PO date, PO month, number, and the total. And so you can fill all of this out. Like if you did maybe 6 in 1 month, then you would just put all 6 of them in here and you can upload it. However, if you think I'm going to use it 1 month and it's going to be 3 or 4 before I do another, you can manually add it right here. So we offer that, and you can see it's the same kind of information. You just upload it there. Now, fiddlesticks, just a moment. Here we go. We're going back into the portal because there's some tools here we wanted to share with you. If you want to see whether or not your upload went through, or if somebody asks you 2 or 3 weeks after you've done it, what's in the hopper towards our rebate, you can come here under Manage Purchase Order, and it'll show you everything that you've done. Now, we just added this button here where it says Bulk Export Purchase Orders. That is for you if you had to give a report to your board or to management team and you wanted it all consolidated together. That's where you could pull that information out. There might be a few questions left on the rebate. I want to show you, if you go here under the button says members, come under here to rebate program, and it takes you where we have, like she was talking about, Jane had mentioned through Jeff that there are some FAQs available. This is a hot link live right now. That'll bring you up to date. After we went through our first year and we worked out some of the bugs or had some extra questions added, then we addressed them all right here. You can also come down here if you ever needed to explain to your management team what is going on. This gives a good explanation of our rebate there. But additionally, we've added other links here. If you have technical issues, please just submit that and let us know. You can also call, but you can always do it this way. This button right here will take you right to the member portal with the rebate button. And then each of these are links down here: how to submit, instructions how to get started, and view a list of the vendors that don't need to be reported. We do have, I think it's 4 or 5 right now. Amazon and, oh, jeepers, I can't even remember them all. We can open it up. Here you go. Ta-da. Amazon, WEX, and TXU is energy that we don't have to report. They do what we call self-reporting. So you can eliminate those from your reports yourself, but rest assured they're reporting and it will be included in your rebate. We do have just a few vendors here that do not participate, and so they're listed here as well. But for the most part, it's one of the best benefits we've been able to one of the best new benefits that we've been able to offer our members, and it works very well. Now, when Ashley was up here with Monica, they were showing you the food button right here, and this is where you can access their own website. You saw the picture, but I just wanted to show you exactly where it is. All righty. So there were a few things I was going to show you outside of the board, dashboard that you need to make yourself aware of. Over here under bidders and RFPs, come down here to current RFPs. And before your entity decides to do their own RFP, you can check with us to see if we have something scheduled that might align. And it would save y'all so much time and staff resourcing if you did ours. And if you're not sure if what we're going to do would cover your need, all you do is pick up the phone and say, I'm such and such a member, entity here. This is what I need. Will this be covered under there? And bingo, it could just be a time saver right there. And that's money. If, however, you don't see something here, we do have upcoming contracts right here. You can come under there and you can see a date relative to when we estimate that we would be doing this particular RFP. Again, if you don't see it here, then you can call us and say, have y'all considered this one? And if so, when? And then maybe if you could wait a month or two and ours is getting ready to go out, again, we can support each other that way. But keep in mind, these are estimated dates and not necessarily in stone. So we want you to run over here and go under About Us, because in About Us, we have quite a few FAQs that could maybe address standard legal questions or things you want to know about the co-op. But under Events, this is a good place that you can go to see where we as Choice Partners are representing the co-op in other states, in other areas of Texas, and with what organizations. It's a great way to kind of keep in touch. I want to say down here, right here, contact us. This is what I want to end with so that you have the ability to reach out. If I keep saying use that 877 number, it's right here. So you're toll free if you're out of state, or you can call the office at the 713 number in Texas. You also have a listing of all our staff here, and each name turns into an email, and our phone number is available. So we want to ensure that all of this is available to you, because we are doing exactly what Jeff was showing you in the triangle, the win-win-win. We support our members and our vendors equally so that we can come together and provide what you need. So can you tell me, looking at your PowerPoint, was there any slide that you would like more information on, or is there something I didn't cover that you would like me to address now? And Michael, any questions online? Well, wonderful. We're so glad to have you. Thank you so much. Now, Stephen, I need to get back to the PowerPoint to put up our QR code. Now, this is where I'm going to ask if everybody is welcome to stay for the whole presentation. But if you have to go, what we're having after my part is all about JOC, which is job order construction, and contracting, that sort of thing. If that's not what you need to hear, we have in the PowerPoint a QR code, and those that are here in person, table tents in front of you. If you can scan that and provide the information on the survey, we would appreciate it. Otherwise, we're going to break for about 10 minutes. Those that are in person will have lunch. Those that are online, y'all can grab your own lunch, or if you could just give us a 10-minute break and we'll be back with you to cover the rest of our presentation. Thank you.
All right. We'll go ahead and kick this off then. Probably get you out a little bit early. My name is Stephen Kendrick. I'm Assistant Director of Facilities and Construction here at Harris County Department of Education. Just to give you a little bit about my background, I started out at the age of 15 as an electrician. I did that all the way through high school and college. When I graduated, I went to work for Santa Fe ISD as Assistant Director of Maintenance and Operations. I was there for 6 years. Prior to be recruited by Choice Partners, I was over there contract compliance for facilities and construction contracts for 3 years prior to promoting up into the current position that I'm in. One thing that kind of makes me unique is that I have sat in the contractor seat, I've sat in maintenance and operations director seat, and I've been on the purchasing side, right? So I have been that guy that sat there going, all I want is a PO. What do I have to give you to get a PO, right? So why job order contracting? Okay, job order contracting, at least in Texas, is the only on-call construction delivery method permitted. Okay, so Texas Government Code 2269 gives us several construction delivery methods. All of them basically require us to have a scope and spec, a specific project prior to soliciting. Job order contracting is the only construction delivery method that is considered IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. That means at the time we do the contract, we do not know what projects are going to be procured to use it. We don't have any engineered drawings, right? But we know that when we need those construction services, we need them today, tomorrow, next week, next month, not 4 to 6 months down the road. Today, I'm going to cover why job order contracting, maintenance versus construction, why that's important, concepts including trade jock versus a regular jock contract, and quoting versus bidding, and then how to legally use the Choice Partners jock contract. Now, I'm going to tell you 98% of everything I covered today is how to use job order contracting in Texas. It is not specific to Choice Partners, okay? Almost everything that I'm going to cover today is either based on statute, case law, AG opinion, comptroller, state comptroller opinion, and I will have all of the references on the slides. So you trust but verify, you can go back. We'll make this presentation available to you, and you can go back and verify everything that I'm saying today. For those of you that don't know, all of the presentations that we give are put on our website. It's choicepartners.org. You click on the About Us tab and then scroll down to presentations. And all of our presentations, both the PowerPoint and the recordings, are made available there. The recording for this session will likely be put up after about a week. We do edit out the dead space in the video before we post it. So one of the things that I do in my roles is I get to work with a lot of members such as yourself, a lot of governmental entities, and I get called out typically after there's a lawsuit in place or a federal grant's threatening to deobligate funds or something else bad has happened, right? And I get there and I start asking questions, and I usually have to get the purchasing department involved and whatever department's over job order contracting. It's different with every entity. And I start asking questions, right? And when I start asking these questions, I get 4 responses, at least one of 4, sometimes all 4. The first one is, that's the way we've always done it. So when I go out there and I'm trying to understand the process and what they did and how they got to where they're at so that I can figure out how to fix it, and I say, well, why are we doing this? That's just the way we've always done it. It was like that when I got here. We know it's not right, but it's normal for us. And our favorite, and the one that I'm going to talk about most, is another department is responsible for that. And when I have my facility guys and my purchasing people in the same room, and I say, okay, who's responsible for ensuring that you're using the correct contract for what you're procuring? The facility guy goes, look, man, purchasing tells me to get them 3 quotes. I get them 3 quotes. They should know contracting. Okay. And then I go to purchasing and I say, who's responsible for ensuring that your entity is using the correct cooperative contract? And they say, well, he's our maintenance director. He should know whether or not he's doing maintenance or construction. He should be checking that the contract covers it. And 9 times out of 10, what I find out is that nobody is verifying that the contract they're using actually covers what it is they're procuring. If you don't have that talk, then assumptions are made. There's a lot of finger pointing. Usually the facility guys lose out on that because your offices are closer to the CFO or the purchasing director, or maybe you are the purchasing director. But yeah, it's good to have that conversation. Who's going to be responsible for making the determination if the project's going to be maintenance or construction, and then verifying that that contract actually covers it. So why does legal compliance matter? And here's the deal. If you're procuring construction services, different procurement rules apply. It doesn't matter what statute you're working in. If your city's government code 252, county's 262, everyone 271, Texas Education Code 44031 from my colleges and K through 12, as well as Texas Education Code 51 for my universities. Doesn't matter where you're at. Once you jump over into construction statute, which is Texas Education Code 51 for my universities and Texas Government Code 2269 for everybody else, all the rules and laws change, right? Contracts not properly procured can be voided or unenforceable. Officials and officers who violate procurement statutes can be subject to criminal penalties. Public works contracts basically means construction contracts. So statute refers to construction as a public works. May trigger things like bonding, prevailing wage rates, retainage, liquidated damages. What else? What constitutes notice to proceed? What substantial completion? What closeout documents are you going to require? Insurance requirements. There's a whole bunch of other things. Do you think the cooperative, when they did the contract, included all of that in there for you? Absolutely not. A cooperative contract is written for any and all governmental entities and nonprofits. It's not written specific to your entity. They don't know what prevailing wage rate you adopted. They don't know if you're using local funds, federal funds, or state funds. Okay? Legal mistakes can delay projects, jeopardize budgets, and result in cost overruns, and subject the governmental entity to financial liability to suppliers, subcontractors, subcontractors. So why time and well, someone took out the automation on that slide, but that's okay. So here's the deal. Why job order contracting? It's because if you're procuring construction services, time and materials is not permissible. So back 2011 and before, every governmental entity had their own construction statutes. In 2011, during legislative session, they changed it and consolidated the statutes for everybody except for universities. And when they did that, time and materials was not brought over and included as a legal way to procure construction services. Okay? A lot of your guys, a lot of your facility guys like to live in the world of either time and materials or lump sum. Can anyone verify that a lump sum proposal followed the legally bid pricing? Who here likes to shop? Target? Amazon? Walmart? Amazon. Okay. So when you go to Amazon, right, what you do is you go in there and you see all the stuff you want. They don't show you any of the pricing. You add it all to your cart and then ask for a lump sum total. Is that how you shop in your personal world? Who does that? Who goes shopping at Walmart or Target? No pricing's available whatsoever. You load it all up and you get to that cashier and you say, just give me a lump sum total. No, you're looking at me as if I'm crazy, but that's essentially what you're doing when you ask a contractor to give you a lump sum total. You have no way of verifying what they have provided you. We're going to show you what you should ask for and you should get so that you can verify that the pricing you're getting does comply with the contract. It truly is competitive. It's not their off the street price plus 2%. Right? How many times have we heard that? I know I have. I get a vendor, I say, hey man, I need a quote. He gives me a quote. Purchasing says, are they on a cooperative? Oh no, let me ask. Hey, you on a cooperative? Yeah. Just throw 2% on that number I gave you and we're good. Do vendors bid their off the street price plus 2%? No. There's no way to verify that pricing, that it's competitive. In job order contracting, we specify 4-unit price books, and they have to bid a multiplier or coefficient against that price book. To understand, we name RS Means, Craftsman National Construction Cost Estimator, Xactimate, and Sierra West. Okay, so for people out in California, we do have Sierra West for the K through 12, because I know that's in your statute. If you're working with insurance, we have Xactimate. You can give them what they want. And then for everything else, RS Means seems to be the industry standard. But in that price book, they're going to look up construction line items. Maybe it's adding a plug, and it's the unit price is $5 to install a plug. If a vendor bids a 1.0, 1 times 5 is $5. They're agreeing to the price in the price book. If they bid a 0.90, then what they're saying is they're going to discount that price book by 10%. Okay, so 0.9 times 5 is $450, right? Or if they bid a 1.10, they're increasing the price by 10%. And that's how a multiplier works. So what is job order contracting? What is the legal definition? For my universities, your definition is almost exactly like this. It does not include the word maintenance. But for everyone else, it's a procurement method used for maintenance, repair, alteration, renovation, remediation, or minor construction of a facilities when the work is of a reoccurring nature, but the delivery times, types, and quantities are indefinite. Okay, so that's your on-call construction contract. If you notice in this definition, it includes both maintenance and minor construction. A job contract can be used for both. A time and material maintenance contract cannot. Does that make sense? So, when in doubt, chalk it out. So here's the factors to consider when determining whether or not the project is maintenance versus construction, okay? This is based on an OSHA letter back in 2003 to Raymond Knob. And they basically say that we have to take 3 factors into consideration. Typically, especially as facility guys, I know I was one of them, we take 1 factor into consideration and we create our own definition for it. And that's like for like. I got a 300-ton train chiller. It's end of life. I'm going to replace it with a new 300-ton train chiller. It's like for like. It's maintenance, right? No one wants to answer that. Except for like was defined as not new or upgraded. Is that 300-ton train chiller a new one, or are you maintaining the existing one that you already have? Oh. Yeah, we're not maintaining the existing. We're now replacing it with a new one. Now, is that new one the same? No. The new one has to meet new energy codes. It uses new technologies and controls, right? It's over 8,000. It's mechanical or electrical. So by state law, Texas Occupation Code 1001, we're required to get it engineered. New energy code requires us to get test and balance and commissioning on it. It's over 25,000, requires a payment bond. Most of them are over 100,000. It requires a performance bond. You have to bring it up to new building code. It's no longer grandfathered in. Does this still sound like a maintenance project?
No.
Oh.
No.
And this one actually has gone to court and it was deemed construction. The second one and third one I kind of lumped together in one example. It's the scale and complexity of the project and then the physical size of the object being worked on. If I have a 10 by 10 shed that I'm keeping our lawn equipment in, and I need to replace half of a shingle roof, going back with the exact same shingles. 10 by 10 is 100 square feet. That's relatively small in physical size. Those roofs are not very complex. I can likely get away with a maintenance procurement, time and material procurement. Now, let me take that exact same example, but now I'm going to apply it to a 500,000 square foot high school. And now what do I have? I have rooftop units with curbs that have to be mopped in. I have penetrations that have to be sealed. I have to ensure that the roof is sloped properly and drains properly. It's over 20,000, so it could require engineering, likely over 25,000 and require a payment bond, possibly half a roof, probably over 100,000. I mean, roofs are going for over $1 million right now, so that's $500,000 project. Over 100,000 requires performance bond. Is it still maintenance? And the answer is no. The physical size is now much greater, and the scale and complexity of that project is also much greater. Make sense? So truly, I cannot give you a list of, hey, here's what's maintenance and here's what's construction. It is a case-by-case determination. You're supposed to take all three of these factors into consideration, not one, when making that determination. Who does that in your organization? Good question. Maintenance versus construction. These are a couple of good rules of thumb. These came straight from our attorneys. As Jeff mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, we are a county school district. We do have schools. We do have our own buildings. We use Choice Partners contracts when they cover what it is we need. Obviously, certain construction delivery methods, we have to do our own procurement. But what our attorney has told us, and of course, don't take this as legal advice, take this as a conversation starter with your own attorney, is that procure maintenance services under Texas Government Code 2269 for construction services rather than as maintenance services if the maintenance and routine repair contracts could include significant replacements, repairs, or installation of new structure, appurtenances, features, components, or fixtures. So if you have a time and material HVAC maintenance contract with a local contractor, and they come out to service all your units for your buildings, and they find out that you've got two at end of life and they need to replace them, what do you do? Who actually says, we've got to stop the job and procure this as construction now? Almost nobody. They're hot. When you procure it under JOC, you're able to continue going. When you procure it as time and materials, you're supposed to stop and procure it as construction. I live in the real world. I realize it doesn't always happen that way, but I will say with all of this federal funding that our economy has been flooded with, federal auditors are looking at this and they are deobligating funds because of this, because the wrong contract vehicle is being used on these federal projects. Second rule of thumb, if repairs will be performed by laborers, workers, or mechanics who would be required to furnish performance or payment bonds, or would be entitled to a minimum prevailing wage rate under public laws. Do prevailing wages apply to maintenance services? No, but they do apply to construction services. Is the person doing the work on your prevailing wage schedule? How many of you have plumbers on there? How many of you have electricians on there? How many of you have HVAC guys on there? Roofers. Also under construction. They're entitled to a prevailing wage. Or there is a potential for a repair to require the services of an architect or an engineer, the securing of permits, or compliance with updated building or electrical codes. When y'all reach that unit is end of life and you're going to replace it with a new upgraded unit, how many of you get it engineered? How many of you bring it up to new building codes, change the disconnects, all the things that go with that? Tie in your drains to the sewer, no longer allowing them to run out to the sidewalk. It's all different building codes that have been updated in the last 25 years that the old unit doesn't meet, but the new unit does need to meet. So JOC's procured by a cooperative. Here's the deal. You can select a vendor to do the project without having to do your own procurement. Choice Partners in this case, because this is a Choice Partners presentation, or whatever co-op you use, procured it on your behalf, right? They did the solicitation, they advertised for 2 weeks, they evaluated it, they took it to their board for award. They completed the procurement part of it. But understand that our contracts only satisfy the procurement requirements, not the contracting requirements. And you say, okay, well, what does that mean? Here's what that means. State law under Texas Government Code 2269, Section 410A, states that you must have a single document with the same terms and conditions and both party signatures. This actually went to court. It was actually challenged. And what they had, the governmental entity's argument, was that they had a proposal with the vendor's terms and conditions and the vendor signature. They then issued a PO that basically said our terms and conditions overwrite yours, and they signed it. And they said that those two documents basically become one, and that was their contract. The judge said, what you have is one document with one set of terms and conditions and one party agreeing to it. And then you have a second document with different conflicting terms and conditions and the other party signing it. But you don't have a single document with the same terms and conditions and both party signatures. You didn't meet the definition in statute, therefore you did not have a contract. And the governmental entity lost that case. Okay, in job order contracting, as I said before, it's not project specific. You should always have a supplemental agreement or a master JOC agreement or a modified AIA, something that has the terms and conditions specific to your project and your governmental entity's requirements, right? Choice Partners did not provide these vendors with your insurance requirements. They did not provide them with your prevailing wages. They do not know if you want liquidated damages or if you're going to hold retainage. You need a supplemental agreement that satisfies state statute that includes all of that information in there, right? You look a little overwhelmed. You're really zoned in. Only method allowed to select contractors for future undefined projects or tasks. So if it's construction and you're in the state of Texas, job order contracting is the only construction delivery method allowed. That's true in most states. There are a few states, for my people online, where another construction delivery method is allowed, such as design build in New York. I think that Oklahoma has a few other exceptions, but in general, for the most part, job order contracting is the only construction delivery method allowed for undefined projects. For local governments, state agencies get all kinds of other good stuff. So what is a JOC estimate? Okay. How many of you think that a JOC estimate is the vendor's proposal with all the stuff they're going to give you, their exclusions, a lump sum total, and their signature? Oh, come on. I saw y'all nodding your heads earlier. And you're right, though. It's not. It should always contain a contract number. If they don't know what contract they're pricing the project under, you're not getting contractually bid pricing. Make sense? If that conversation never takes place, I can promise you, you're not getting what they bid. A line item assessment based on the unit price book. I'm going to show you what this looks like in the next slide. It should be localized based on the city cost index. What is that? These books are based on national average pricing. They can go into the software and either increase or decrease the pricing based on where you're working. For my people in Texas, almost all of the city cost indexes in Texas are lower than national average. The national average is based roughly 35 to 40% markup. Then what they do is they localize it based on the city cost index. If it's a 0.88, they're reducing that 35 to 40% by 12%. 0.88 is the opposite of a percent off, 12%. Then you take their legally big coefficient, maybe it's a 0.9. They're going to reduce it another 10%. So now where are we at? If we're on the high end at 40, we went down to 28, and then the other 10 is 18. Is 18 a much more palatable profit margin for them than 35 to 40? Without this estimate, I can pretty much always guarantee that you're going to pay 35 to 40. Okay. Everyone that comes to me and says job order contracting is too expensive, RS Means is too expensive. And I say, okay, well, let's grab your estimate and look at it. And they hand me a lump sum proposal. I say, well, where's the RS Means? Oh, I didn't get that. Let's get it. And the first thing I find is it's almost always based on national average. Second thing I find is they almost never apply their legally big coefficient. Third thing I find is they use a whole bunch of line items that are not allowed per the contract to build up the estimate. You're right. If you're not managing JOC the way it was intended, you're always going to pay too much. That's true. Should have their legally big coefficient. Here's the other thing. Subcontractor pricing should also use the unit price book. So a lot of times, and I'm going to pick on my roofers here, they'll line item out all the roofing line items. Beautiful. But they got a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electrical, and they'll say plumbing subcontractor $75,000, electrical subcontractor $50,000. Here's the deal. This is not a roofing price book. This is a construction task catalog. It considers all aspects of construction, including electrical and plumbing. They should go to that book and pull those line items out of there. They should not be building up their estimate by getting an off-the-street quote and adding whatever markup they want to it. So this, I know is hard to read. It's what an estimate could or should, it didn't get bigger, could or should look like. As I said before, this is available online on our website, so you can go there, pull it up. You'll be able to read it. But just for conversation today, first thing is at the top, and I cut it out when I zoomed in, but contract number should be up there. Second thing is the data release. They update these price books quarterly. This estimate says 2023 quarter one. If I saw this, I would send it back and say, I need you to use the most current quarter, which I believe is 2024 quarter one. Quantity, that's how much of each line item they're using. That line item number, it's a 12-digit number based on CSI master format. Basically what that means is it follows your engineered or architectural drawings. And you can plug that number into the software and you can verify if they have manipulated any of the information in this estimate. You get a description of what's included in that line. Anything not in that description is another line, or they can charge you another line. Perfect example is if they put, forklift rental, but it doesn't include an operator. Well, they need somebody to run that equipment, right? So then they can do a second line item for the equipment operator. Unit of measure. Choice Partners contracts with ours means price book, specify that they have to use the OMP column, the overhead and profit column. What does that mean? That means that overhead and profit is already included in the pricing. They should not add lines down at the bottom with additional overhead and profit. If they are, you're paying too much. Labor type, there's many labor types in the price book. We don't care what they use. What we look for is if it says user. If it says user, we know they've manipulated this line item somehow. It may be that they changed the description, but it may be that they put their own pricing in, not what was bid. Data release, again, most recent. CCI location, that's where I told you we localize it from national average. First time they log into the software, it's going to say national average. They're then going to go in and select Texas, and then they're going to select the first 3 digits of your zip code. Okay, so in this example, it says 770 to 772 Houston. We're not really worried about that Houston. We're worried about that 770 to 772. That should be the location of the project, not their office, not your main office. It's the location of wherever the project's being, at. If you're local to Houston, then you likely know when we localize this for Galveston, it says Galveston 775. But Baytown is 775. LaPorte is 775. It's just going to name the largest city within that zip code. It doesn't have to match yours. The numbers do. The note section, that's the only place that they should edit. And if they put anything in there, it will not throw up a user under labor type. Okay, that can be used for their calculations. That can be used if they're providing something that's similar but not exact. Maybe they couldn't find the exact line item, but they found something similar. Y'all agree it's the same price. They can put those notes there. If you're using federal funds and they make you tell them where the line items are being placed, you can put it there. What we get is we get a subtotal at the bottom. At that point in time, they should apply their legally big coefficient and reduce it a second time. They can give you an additional discount. Our contracts are not to exceed pricing. They can't go any higher, but you can always negotiate lower. Not all of them will, but some of them will. You can also negotiate through these line items. Maybe they put 10 and it should have been 9. Maybe they showed you a waste factor of 30% in their calculation and you think it should be 15. You can negotiate the quantities and lines. At that time, add in any bonding or permitting costs. These should be passed through costs to you. They should not be marking them up for profit. We ask them to place it at the end of the estimate so it's not discounted by the coefficient, and we ask them to charge you exactly what they're being charged. And then you get that project total. Now, what do you think? Who wants to pay that 135 instead of that 112? When you don't have this, which number do you think you're going to pay? When you get that lump sum total? Probably 150, because this has the city cost index in it. That's going to go up 12%. Review the job quote. Choice partners will review the quote against compliance with their contract. They will not get into your scope and spec. They do not get into your quantities. Okay. There is no fee to you or the vendor for this service. Okay. The vendor does not get hit with the fee if you ask the cooperative to review the quote. What are we going to look for? We're going to check that they use the correct city cost index. We're going to check that they use the correct coefficient. Do they use after hours, regular hours, maybe the coefficient from 3 contracts ago? We'll check that they use the correct contract number. Are they using one that expired or are they using a current one? Data release, we're going to make sure it's the most recent. Non-pre-priced line items, we're going to check for those. If they did use them, we're going to make sure that they followed the contract language. What is a non-pre-priced line item? It's basically a line item that they cannot find in the task catalog. What our contract says is that either you have to deem it a sole source, or they are to get 3 quotes, choose the one that's most advantageous to you, and then add the markup that they legally bid. So we actually make them bid their markup. They can't just add whatever they feel like that day. We will verify that for you. I do caution you, if you're working with federal funds, you need to stay away from non-pre-priced line items. And here's why. Federal funds do not allow cost plus pricing. When you get a quote and you add 30% markup to it, they consider that to be a cost plus. Federal auditors have gone through these line item estimates. They have found all the non-pre-priced line items and de-obligated those line items, taking that money back. Attempts passed through the cooperative fee. And there is not a cooperative out there that I'm aware of that allows a vendor to pass that fee on to you. The pricing that they bid should be inclusive of the fee. The fee is simply, it's a part of their marketing. It's a cost of doing business, and it should never be passed on to you. If you see that, you're basically paying for it twice. We'll make them remove it and reduce the price by whatever they marked it up doing that. Use of Division 1, without getting too technical, it's basically their overhead line items. Okay, so it can be things like equipment rental, but it could also be their office, their secretary, their cell phone, their computer, their printer, their gas. Okay, we restrict the use of Division 1. We don't allow them to use certain line items out of there. We will verify those for you. If you want to verify them yourself, we have them in the definition section in section 1.0 of our contract. We also reiterate it in section 8.0 under pricing. And adjustment factors. And basically, this is increasing or decreasing the cost of the work based on working conditions. We will bring them to your attention that they're there, because depending on the estimating software they use, they can be hidden pretty well. It's your decision as to whether or not they apply to your project. Okay, so an example is working in a confined space. Okay, there's an increase. An adjustment factor might be labor shortage or supply chain shortage. They can mark things up. We'll bring them to your attention so you know it's in there. I know Jeff hit on this earlier. He covered it mostly from a non-construction standpoint. But here's the deal. Choice Partners is actually Harris County Department of Ed. We are a county school district. Per Texas Government Code 791, we sign interlocal agreements with you. All that is a contract that states that we agree to share each other's contracts. Choice Partners gets feedback from its members, and they issue solicitations, RFPs and CSPs, for the goods and services that you want to procure. They vet them, they award them. Not everybody gets a contract. Remember, we're using these people too. They're in our schools. We may only award 50% of the respondents. We might award less. They are not guaranteed a contract just because they respond. Then what happens is you can then work directly with that vendor to procure whatever it is you need. The key takeaway here is that most people consider the PO to be the contract. Okay, during Hurricane Harvey, when people were being audited by FEMA, we got phone calls. Hey, where did you give them our prevailing wages? Where did you say that we could have liquidated damages and how much? Where did you put in there that we were going to hold retainage or progressive billing? We didn't. It was an IDIQ contract. It wasn't specific to your project. You should always have a job order contract as a supplemental agreement by and between you and them that covers everything regarding your entity and your project. You will not find it in the Choice Partners contract or any other cooperative contract. And I like to reiterate that because a lot of people go, man, Choice is difficult to work with. But here's the deal. It's actually law. All cooperatives should be doing this. And if they're not, then they're not following statute. Because I told y'all, I reference it all. The codes are all right there. Master job order contract, I've kind of already hit on this, but it should contain your specific scope of work. It should include your prevailing wage rates as an attachment. I also recommend giving them your insurance requirements, liquidated damages if you're going to have them, retainage if you're going to hold retainage, any terms and conditions specific to you and signed by both you and the vendor. Okay, again, there's the statute that requires that. I'm going to skip over this because I pretty much just covered it. Public work bonds. Okay, so this slide is basically telling you when a bond is required. Okay, so a performance bond is required if the contract's in excess of $100,000. A payment bond is required if the contract is in excess of $25,000 and you're not a municipality or joint board. If you are a municipality or joint board, then your threshold is $50,000 for when a payment bond is required. Again, at the bottom, there's statute that lists those requirements. Using architects and engineers. There's a huge misconception that you can go grab a contractor and they can engineer the project for you, or they can just design it for you with no engineer or architect, and you'll go straight to work. That's not true. Yes, the JOC can work with you to help develop the scope of work, but they can't design it. They can't stamp any drawings. That's a professional services. That's procured through an RFQ process or based on qualifications, depending on what your organization prefers. It cannot be procured through a cooperative. It's prohibited in Texas Government Code 791. It's prohibited a second time in Texas Government Code 2269. Must be procured separately. An architect's required for a new building with a construction cost exceeding $100,000 or an alteration or addition with the cost exceeding $50,000. That's found in Texas Occupation Code 1051.703. The engineering statutes are written in the opposite. It's kind of convoluted. It basically says, and I'm summarizing, engineering is always required, except if a project involving electrical or mechanical will cost less than $8,000, or a project not involving electrical and mechanical will cost $20,000 or less. Okay. Basically what this means is if it's mechanical or electrical and it's over 8,000, you need an engineer. If it's not electrical or mechanical, it exceeds $20,000, it's some other engineering discipline like mechanical, not mechanical, structural, then you get an engineer. Or you need someone in your organization to sign a document stating it's not legally required. This says or civil. Civil is an engineering discipline. For everyone except for my universities, civil construction is not permitted through job order contracting. Civil contractors, civil engineers have a very strong lobby in Austin, and they do not allow their projects to be run through job order contracting. So what must go to your board? First thing is you should never just go grab a JOC contract off of any cooperative and use it, right? Everyone has a default construction delivery method. For most people, it's like lowest responsible bidder. Our local policy changes it to competitive sealed proposal. But what it's not is job order contracting. So for me, because I don't have time to wait to take every project to my board, at the beginning of my fiscal year, I list all of the job contracts I know I'm going to use, the vendors, their numbers, and not to exceed pricing for that year. And I basically get them to approve the job order construction delivery method for on-call projects that arise that are more of what we consider an emergency in nature, but it's not defined as an emergency in statute. That's what that's for. They approve it at the beginning of the year. I don't have to go back to them unless I exceed the dollar thresholds mandated. So a job order, whether it's internal to your organization or through a cooperative, the state puts the dollar limit at $500,000. If you have a job order that's $500,001, you're supposed to go back to the board for approval, even if you already received it. Your threshold may be lower based on local policy. In my district, it's 75,000. So when I hit 75,000, I have to go back to my board for approval. Trade jock versus jock. There was a lawsuit between LA Ash and Texas A&M that basically said construction is not just for general contractors. It also includes single trades. The result of this is that a lot of cooperatives are offering a trade jock and a regular jock. A trade jock is your single trades. That's your electrician, that's your roofer, that's your plumber. It allows them to use those divisions out of the unit price book, but not all divisions. So if it's a plumber, they can use Division 22 plumbing, but then they shouldn't be jumping over into Division 9 finishes or Division 7 roofing and waterproofing. They have to stay in the division they're awarded. You want to check this because we've had entities grab contractors awarded for electrical services and renovate all of their athletics locker rooms. Mid-project, they found out the contract didn't cover it. And then they had to hire a second general contractor to oversee the first general contractor so that they had the correct contract. You're paying for two general contractors when you do that. I don't recommend it. Choice Partners makes it very easy to distinguish which contract it is. If it's a trade name and then jock next to it, then they can only do that trade. So if it says electrical jock, they can only do electrical. It says roofing jock, they can only do roofing. If it says construction jock, they can do it all. Make sense? If it doesn't say jock, they shouldn't be using it for construction services. Was not Choice Partners, but there was a company on another co-op that had a pressure washing contract. And they were out there running full-blown construction projects. What happened? Project manager said, hey, can you do this work? Yeah. You on a co-op? Yeah. Great, let's go to work. They did a ton of projects before somebody caught that the only thing they were legally allowed to do was pressure washing. If it doesn't say jock, they're not approved for construction services. Even if they tell you they can do the work, they can't legally do it. They may physically be able to, but they can't legally. The bid or the proposal. These two words are misused a lot in our industry. We pretty much call everything a bid, right? But what a bid is it's the vendor's formal, written, sealed response that satisfies the state's procurement requirements. It is that price book against that coefficient. That is the only thing these contractors bid. Everything that you ask for after that is a quote. That's your job specific, where they use the price book and their legally bid coefficient to give you a total. A lot of vendors will tell you, you can't get more than one quote. You can't recompete me. You're rebidding me. You're not re-advertising on the street. You're not competing coefficients. You're not rebidding them. Okay? What you're doing is you're telling them to use what they bid to create a job specific quote. Statute requires you to get at least one, but it does not restrict the number that you can get. I typically do not ever recommend getting more than 3. And here's why. There's a lot of federal grants coming out. FEMA's one of them, where they want 3 quotes, and they want at least one of those 3 quotes to be from a minority-owned or woman-owned business. They originally called this part of their 6 affirmative steps. Now it's called 6 affirmative considerations per uniform guidance or EDGAR or 2 CFR 200, depending on what your entity calls it. It's all the same. But when you start inviting more than 3 and they show up and realize they're bidding against everybody on the street, a lot of times they'll walk away and they won't come back. So next time you invite them out, they're anticipating you're going to send 15 or 20 contractors out there. They're not going to show up. But you can't get multiple quotes. I know certain entities over a certain dollar threshold, they require more than 1 quote. It's your discretion. I'm not going to go into great detail on this, but this is basically a flow chart as to how the JOC process should work, should flow, the order of operations. It's there as a reference for you if you want to go back and look at it. And then a couple of final thoughts. First one, not all coefficients are created equal. There's a lot of co-ops that print out their contractors and their coefficients and they say, hey, look, we got the lowest coefficients in the industry. Here's the problem with that. Not all JOCs are created equal. As I said earlier, our contract restricts the use of Division I. Some allow full use of Division I. Some do not allow Division I at all. Some specify left-hand means, which means no overhead and profit. And some specify right-hand means. So a 1.3 on this co-op might be a 0.9 on this co-op. You get the same pricing, but the number's different because their pricing didn't include overhead and profit. It looks worse if you don't understand how the coefficient works. Coefficients are a terrible way to compare pricing. I've gotten 3 quotes on 3 different co-ops with 3 different coefficients, and the guy with the lowest coefficient came in $100,000 higher on a chiller replacement. The coefficient is the discount off the price book, but here's the deal. The estimators choose what lines they use. They choose their quantities. One of them may build up the estimate full of Division I because his contract allows for it. The other one may not have any Division I. Make sense? Not all co-ops are created equal, especially if you're using federal funds. They say you have to follow, for local governments at least, not state, but you have to follow the most restrictive of federal, state, and local. If the co-op or the co-op's lead agency is outside of the state of Texas, what are the odds that they followed Texas state law? Not very good. And Texas is one of the most restrictive states in construction. FEMA originally issued a white paper after Hurricane Harvey that said no out-of-state co-op was allowed for federal funds. That white paper was challenged because you cannot discriminate based on location. And they won. So then what FEMA did is they revised that white paper and said, okay, you can use an out-of-state cooperative, but they still have to follow state law. Establish that procurement method with that vendor prior to them quoting the job. If you don't, you're either not going to get contracted pricing or you're going to waste time with them having to go back and reprice it. Verify the pricing. You can send it to us. We will do that for you. If you want to do it yourself, we'll come teach you how to do it. There's no fee for it, just like today's training. We'll come to you, you can come to us, we can do it virtually, doesn't matter. Make sure and get that governing body approval. Include the contract number on the quote and the PO. That's what the auditors go by. That's what they look for. If you're hoping for rebate dollars, any of the cooperatives that have rebate, if the contract number's not on there and they can't verify that it was agreed upon that y'all were going to use it, it won't be eligible for the rebate. The vendor won't pay the fee. Does that make sense? We don't get paid, you don't get paid, in a sense. You have to have that on there. If you're utilizing, well, we have a reporting structure online now. We have a reporting portal. If you want to be eligible for our rebate, you do have to upload your activity into that portal, okay? There's more information. If you go to choicepartners.org, under, I think, members, it's the rebate program, and then we have an FAQ link on there that gives you all of the specific details to that program. If you heard nothing else today, if I bored you to death, please hear this. I am not an attorney, and I am not providing you legal guidance. This presentation was for informational purposes only. If you do have legal questions, please consult your own attorneys. Do I have any questions? Shane's still awake. That's something. Anything for our members online? No? All right. Well, then at that time, Jeff, do you want to wrap it up? We do have a survey. Please scan this QR code. Tell us what we did good. Tell us what we did bad. Tell us what we can do better. We love the feedback. That's how we grow and improve.
I guess the one thing, since the survey's up, I'll mention that real quick. Please access this QR code, and they're in the TPs on the table also. And just tell us a little bit about your feedback. We don't want a pat on the back. If there's something you're saying, well, I'd rather you do this versus this. We always want to get better, and we don't know what we're doing. Sometimes sometimes we're operating in a vacuum. We think we're doing everything, but a lot of the ideas come from people attending, watching online, and kind of giving us some constructive criticism. Please take a moment to do that. Tell us good, bad, and the ugly. But anyway, one of the things I always like to say at the end of this, whether it's vendors, members, is if you're new to us, don't let this be the last conversation. Let it be the first conversation. Okay, a lot of us have been around for a while, and we only exist to help our vendors sell more product and help our members work more efficiently and use our vendors. So please let us help you help yourselves. It's just that simple. So I know I saw, just kind of glancing on some of the attendees, I saw some familiar names, I saw some unfamiliar names. So to our old friends, keep using us. To our new friends, reach out to us. We've got all of our contact information there on the website. Let us know how we can help you get through your procurement process easier, quicker, great competitive pricing, but compliant, so you don't have things bite you on the backside. I think that's about it. Anybody else have anything to add internally? Just any kind of words of wisdom? Sounds like not. Anyway, thank you for braving the weather, the folks that showed up here, people online. We're glad that you joined us, and hopefully you took away something that we could help you with, help you in your future work. And you'll have a great day, have a great weekend. Go Astros, beat Seattle, even if you're not from Houston.